Good morning, everybody. This is Walk the Dog Season 2, Episode 22, and there are two of us today. It's a lot of twos. Yeah. Um, so right now we're recording this Friday evening, so long work week. So if this ends up being a little lower energy than normal, that's why. But you'll be seeing this on Tuesday, so there'll be a bit of a delay. Let's see. Right now, on the meta side of things, what I'll say is we have seen Aurelian Soul definitely take off. He's causing things, insert dragon pun here. But basically, definitely as he's getting optimized, we're now seeing one of the innovations I saw today was people are using Loris to push the tank into the backline a bit so that the A-Soul Meteor is more likely to hit. Like, he's definitely getting optimized. Talking to the live team, I think there's like a high chance that we B-patch. If by the time you see this we haven't, I was wrong. But by the time you see this, I think we might have. We just can't before the weekend. So other than that, though, if you ignore A-Soul, everything below that actually is looking pretty solid. I've had a lot of good games. But anyway, that's the quick stuff. Beyond that, sorry not to keep you waiting, this is my guest, Mr. Alex Cole, Riot Blue Velvet. If you used to watch me stream, he was definitely in the chat asking me some of the craziest questions. But Alex, why don't you say hi and introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Alex. I've been on this team for almost 4 years now. I'm the director of product for gameplay. So Mort goes really deep on design. I look over everything from design to eng to art to publishing. So kind of how all the pieces come together and we make good sets. That's what we do. It's fun.
Awesome. So I think when you explain that, you're sort of like, you look at everything. So a common question people always ask us when we're in the same room is they're like, does that mean you're Mort's boss? Is that how this works? So like, what does it mean to have to look over all of that kind of thing?
I am Mort's boss, just for the record.
Oh, come on.
Not directly, but inherently.
Uh-huh.
No, I focus a lot more on the bigger picture of, hey, is the theme that we're creating on the game side coming through on the publishing side, kind of like bridging that gap. Working with more on the design side. I'm more hands off because we have people like Mort and Giovanni and Julian who do a great job with that, but I still kind of keep an eye on things. I think my reputation has slowly become like I'm the fun guy. I make sure that like things aren't too razored or too we take the fun out of things sometimes. So I make sure that like we're thinking about the player who just wants to have a good time in TFT. So I do a lot of that and then give VFX feedback, I give art feedback, I help engineering prioritize their work. So really just thinking holistically on the product side for what players see, but also just how the team functions, how it's shaped, who's working on what, how long they're working on it, stuff like that.
It's funny you bring up the fun thing because something I've talked about a couple times is how like players will have this perception that I only care about the casual players and casual players and people, I think, somewhat like you even on the team will think Mort only cares about the pro players. And so I do think it's worth calling out that, yeah, you're one of the people that like, sometimes you're like, yeah, but let's break the rules, right? I think Prismatic Orbs was actually one of your big pushes for me to figure out a way to get in the game. And so I guess that will lead me to my first question for you, which is sort of, if you look at the in-game contribution side and things you've helped with, what's the thing that you feel like I helped have a biggest input on that landed in the game?
For in-game stuff, I would say, well, it wasn't really me, but I was pushing you on Heartsteel in particular.
Yes. The double down?
Yeah. We were, so it was, I think set 10 was only on PvE at this point.
Yeah.
And Heartsteel was just not hitting the bar that I wanted it to. And Mort was in office that day, and I just remember turning around and looking at Mort and be like, hey, we need to make Heartsteel more fun. And Mort kind of like looked at me for a second, and then I like honestly it took you like 2 minutes?
No.
Because we didn't like once something's on PvE, we don't really have art resources. We can't really do a ton change-wise. But it took Mort maybe like 2 minutes, and we were just like double down's it. Like that's the fun thing we're gonna do. So I would say that, and then the thing that I'm just most proud of generally on the team as I look back on the 4 years that I've spent is getting 8.5 out the door. Like that was when Riot was going through some technical issues on the internal side, and we didn't even have a place to play the set for almost the entire development, and this was a mid set, so it's already pretty shortened. But I don't think we actually got to play it, and the set existed on one computer for a very long time. So I really look back fondly and just am so impressed by the team, A, getting it out there, and B, us never having to delay it. Like, we had our ship date and we didn't move it, and I still look back and just think how insane it was that we were able to nail that.
Yeah, those are definitely wild times. I think one of the things as our team has grown, we've gotten a little bit more like stable timelines, or if anything, we've had like more of a ramp, right? Where it's like, look, we're at this point in the production, things need to be here, and you've helped build a lot of that to the point where there's a lot less chaos than there was in the 6 through 9 days. And I think that's actually been probably your, like, when we talk about production, one of your big contributions is figuring out how to make sure that's true, which is funny because you know me, I care so little about that stuff. And I think that's an interesting thing I think you could explain, because I'm trying to think of the best way to phrase this. And let's do a different question first for you. And then I'll let you ask me a question. And then, okay. Generally, I think people have their perceptions of how a development team is run, right? And it's like, I'm sure some people probably think Mort sits there upon his iron throne and yells designs down from the thing. Like, some people probably perceive it that way. Obviously, you know that's not the case. You know how it actually works. What would be the thing if you were like, hey, I need to tell you guys how it actually works so you know? Like, obviously you can't go into every detail, but like, what's one thing you think they should know about? Here's a truth of how things actually run around here.
That's a good question. Also, I'm really bad about talking about my own accomplishments, but I do want to say the one thing that I did have a huge impact on is 3 sets a year. Like, that was like first big thing that I worked on when I joined. So yeah, I should actually call that out. Like, that was one of the first big things I really pushed for.
Remember that spreadsheet?
Yep. In terms of how we operate, though, I would say Riot is a very bottoms-up culture. I think we really celebrate the ideas from the team level, and if you find a champion for something, I think Mort's talked about this before, especially when he was on League, of just like, he found issues and Riot backed him up and just said, hey, yeah, let's fix that. I think that happens a lot. So like, but it also changes a little bit depending where we are production timeline wise. Like, yeah, it's amazing that you have ideas, but if we are 6 weeks from ship, we don't really have time to test a lot of ideas. So we also do reach a point where it's like, hey, we just need to make a call. And I think that's where Mort and myself come in, of like, hey, we're going to be okay shipping this at a B+ level or at an 80% level because we just have to move forward. And design kind of comes in really early on, and they do have time to experiment and try new things. And there's tons of traits and champions and mechanics that are on the cutting room floor that will maybe see the light of day someday, or maybe not, and they won't for good reason. But we also reach a point in time where it's like, hey, we're becoming really waterfall, where design needs to get locked in, because that means VFX is coming, and then audio is coming, and then QA comes in. So at a certain point, we just run out of time. So I think that's the big thing, is just like, and that can be a little bit tough, I think, for ICs too, to feel like their agency's taken away from them. But part of it is like, hey, at the end of the day, like, we have to ship a set. And I think that can be painful, especially for a lot of junior folks. And I know a lot of designers and aspiring game devs watch this. So I think one lesson that I think pushes a lot of junior developers to the next level is like becoming okay with letting your ideas go, or realizing, hey, I can come back to this next set because we're going to ship another set. So yeah, definitely recommend that for folks that are interested in the industry.
Yeah, I think that's always a good topic to talk about, right? Like, the really harsh way of putting it, and I hate to use this term because it's always such a gross, it's like you have to be able to kill your children, you know. It's like, okay, well, that's a harsh way, but yeah, ideas have to be expendable. And I think even in my, like, at Nintendo very early on, I would learn that, like, look, if you make a level and it's bad, fine, throw it away. Do not get attached to an idea. It's just an idea. Ideas are cheap, things like that. So I think that's a great point. All right, do you have any questions for me?
I do, and it's not going to be TFT, because we talk about TFT all the time.
Okay.
What are the games you've been playing outside work recently? What have you been playing?
So, I mean, it's probably not even a secret, but the dirty thing is TFT has eaten up a lot of my time. If you looked, like, I got my Nintendo year in review thing they sent out, and it was like, you played 10 hours of Nintendo Switch in 2025. You played 9 hours of Donkey Kong and 1 hour of Super Nintendo games. And it was like, well, that's kind of disappointing. I mean, I think during like the Christmas, like Dispatch was probably the last cool game I really, really played. I'm trying to think. And then obviously Magic the Gathering. I've been, yeah, anytime I have a chance to play like Magic, whether it be like drafts or Commander. I know I'm actually excited because next week I got Peter to move it. We're doing Peter Cube Night Wednesday. So I actually get to participate again now that I'm here. So that'll be fun. I haven't had a chance to play much Riftbound. So there's that. Beyond that, I loaded up Metroid Prime 4, but then didn't start. I got distracted and didn't, like, it literally is in the Switch too, and then I didn't play it. And I also started hearing not great things about it. So I don't know. It's kind of a shame but at the same time, like, I've also played 300 games of Set 16, so I don't know. And does that make me a little worse at my job? Maybe a little, to be honest, but I don't know. I haven't even played ARAM Mayhem yet.
That's crazy.
I know, which is wild, but like every time I have a free moment, I kind of would rather just play another ranked game. And like I hit 3-star Callista today, and like that was something I hadn't done before. And it also gave me a feel for how much the changes that Tim made to the like uncontested activation champ, and like I was getting a feel for that. And so like I don't know, TFT is such a deep game. I don't play as much as I should. It's the sad truth. Then again, I think you would laugh at this, but maybe it's time for another Binding of Isaac.
Oh yeah, now we're talking.
Nice, cool. All right, well, I'm going to ask a question from the players that I thought would be good for you. So the first one's, again, easy enough, I think. The question they actually asked were, what are the different design teams on the TFT team, like Live and 16 and 17? But I think since you're here, we should expand that to just what are the different teams on the TFT team, since you get to kind of oversee everything.
Yeah, man, this also makes me reflect on the 4 years since I've joined, and man, our team's gotten a lot bigger. both our gameplay team and just TFT have just grown like crazy. We were talking about it last night, but it's just grown like crazy. But on the gameplay side, we kind of have two broad umbrellas. We have the sets team, and then we have our features team. So sets is pretty self-explanatory. It's all the sets we have in development, and then the live/finalization team, which is also inclusive of an engineering resource now, which is great to help us with some stuff. But so currently we have our 17 pod, our 18 pod, and our 19 pod all kicked off. So we have 3 groups there. And then on the feature side, this team focuses more on ranked, around game type stuff. They also own our evergreen modes, so talkers, double up, and eventually in Futureland, hopefully some more ideation type space will happen there. So those are our 2 big buckets. All of our features team right now is in Futureland doing some really cool stuff. And then all of our sets folks, it's tough on gameplay because we are the most split on live versus Futureland, where there's a lot of teams on TFT that are either just on live or just future facing, where we kind of have to do everything and wear a lot of different hats. But within all of these teams, I know Mort mostly focuses on the design space, but we have engineers, we have artists, we have QA, all within each of these pods. And yeah, it's grown a lot. We're a huge team. And then outside of gameplay, we've got our cosmetics team, we've got our internal tools team, which has grown a ton as well. And really helps just make being a TFT dev easier, which is really nice for our engineers and game designers. So yeah, we're a big freaking team.
Yeah, it's wild. We can't say the number, but it's definitely gotten really, really big. So yeah, cool. All right. Then the second question from players here, and this was a design question, but I think it's a fun one because you talk about being the for fun guy and holding the line here. So they can hear your opinion on this one. I want to ask about the pros and cons of Stillwater Hold. If you're listening, by the way, and you don't know what Stillwater Hold was, it was an opening encounter that said, there are no augments this game. You get nothing. So what are your thoughts?
Every opportunity is a space of learning on TFT. And this was a learning for sure. But if you remember, set 9, we were actually kind of talking through, like, is there a world where we play around with augments? Do we maybe have 2 augments? Do we maybe have 4 augments? And it was just a space for us to be like, what's life like without augments? Because there was also a lot of players, we would hear from them of like, I liked TFT more before augments. Like it was just more fun. It's interesting how that conversation died after we shipped this, but for a time there were a lot of people on Reddit who felt very strongly that TFT was more fun. But I will say, this is definitely my bias, and Mort has to sometimes buffer me a little bit here. I really like sharp moments in TFT, and for better or worse, this was a really sharp moment in the game. Like there was a lot of response in chat when this came up. It was not necessarily positive, but there would be the one person that would vote for it in games, because this was when you could vote on encounters, and there would be people who voted for it. So like the player base does exist that either A, liked it, or B, liked spiting the other people in the lobby. Yep. But you know, I think looking back, would I have not shipped this one, knowing what I do now? Probably. But I do think like if we hadn't shipped it, it wouldn't have given us the learnings that we have of like just how critical and important augments are, not just to exist in the game, but also we learned a lot of like, I guess we learned this even more with set 11, but just how critical, especially the 2-1 augment is for our players, of like, hey, this is kind of where I start building my map of the game. And if we change that, like with 11, when we moved all of the augments earlier, no big deal. That seems fine. When we move those augments later in the game, it's like, crap, I don't have a plan. I don't know what I'm doing this game. And that's really hard for a lot of our players. So I think we learned a lot. But yeah, definitely not something that I would say is a shining light of things that we've shipped.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good assessment. I think, you know, it's funny. Someone asked me for the number, and I was like, you know, I would believe somewhere between 5 and 8% of our players loved Stillwater Hold. I'd believe it, you know. But of that 5 to 8% of how many of those are just the agents of chaos that want to spite people? Yeah, and so now I will say the only other con I can think of is that hypothetically, as we explore future like set mechanics and things like that in the past, we've also been like, man, it'd be really cool if we could eat back some of that design space, you know? And so because augments exist, that's a lot of like inflation and rewards and things like that have to exist within that system that we can't use elsewhere. Now, that being said, have we found anything better than augments? Not yet, you know? And so I think that's been the challenge for sure. Cool. I guess another chance for you to ask me a question.
What are you most looking forward to in this next year of TFT?
That's a hard one. I wanted to comment, by the way, I love that you're also using the term Futureland. That's just a thing that I think has gotten it. Yeah, no, it's perfect. It's perfect. Because no one actually officially calls it Futureland. That's not a real term at work, but it's great that you did that. So obviously I have to be a little careful, but I think for me, if I had to, I'm trying to keep this as vague as possible, but basically I think Lore and Legends with the unlock mechanic really showed a lot of important lessons about what makes TFT fun, what things we should expand on. And I think really if you look at 14, 15, and 16 as a whole, I come out of 2025 knowing even more about our systems and what's appealing and what works and what doesn't. And I feel like I know so much more about the game. And I am excited to apply those learnings and take it even further. Now, you know, obviously time delays and whatever, and when we can do that, but like, I think that's, you know, I talk about how I've been working in Futureland. A lot of that now is like, okay, now that I know this for sure, we can do some cooler stuff. And so I think that's probably the thing I'm the most looking forward to. You know me, it's like a tough design problem. And I think coming off of Lore and Legends, because Lore and Legends has been my secret, like, I know this, I've been cooking on this for 2 years. It's finally out there. I think I'm ready to cook something else, basically, is what I'd say. So I think that's my... Now, I have to flip it around. I mean, since you asked the question, what are you most looking forward to?
I mean, there's a lot of specific things that I'm looking forward to that I can't say, but I think similarly to you of just 16 taught us a lot about our players and the game. And I think it's both inspired me of just saying like, wow, there's still so much of TFT that we can explore and play around with, but also just seeing 16's impact on the team itself and like seeing, wow, it's really like players have loved the set, but it's also just inspired the team a lot. Like players or a lot of the folks on the team are playing more 16 than they've played TFT in a long time. Hearing other teams across Riot talk about the set's been amazing. So I think just like seeing the passion like continue to come through, even though we've grown so much more. Our team plays a lot of TFT, which is awesome. And I don't think that every game team can say that at other companies and stuff. So yeah, I think just like seeing the energy kind of like come out of 16 and be like, damn, we have a lot of cool stuff, and like the team's like really ready to like ship it is awesome.
Nice. Yeah, I thought it was cool seeing, like, for example, Mark Merrill finish his lore finder and stuff like that. That was pretty cool. So, yeah, definitely people have been enjoying it. All right. So I've been asking this question to everybody. And it's the creator's curse question, right? Which is like, every creator, we make a thing and then we look back on it and all we see are the flaws and the things we messed up and could have had more time on. So I think for you, you've been on the team, you said, about 4 years now. In those 4 years, what's one thing you look back on and you're just like, oh my God, why did I, like what's your regret or whatever you want to call it? But I like I said, what's your creator's curse thing you look back on?
Only one. So I think Mort and I are both really harsh critics of ourselves. But I think it's been funny with 16 because Mort's had a really great time with 16, but I still poke at it.
You do.
I still poke at it a lot. But in terms of really specific things, I think Crystal Gambit was like one that just got away from us. Like the core design was so good and we just didn't execute well on it. And that one's definitely a bummer for me. I also think the theme on 12 we didn't quite nail to get out of the design space a little bit. I think that was just a thematic that we never really quite wrapped our arms around completely. And it just got a little bit muddied. I think having stuff in there like bees and all that was cool, but it really took away from like the core of it being like a magical set. So I think that was probably the other big one that really sticks out to me of like it's two things that we could have fixed in dev, and I think that's why it like sticks to me so close.
Yeah, and by the way, when he says he pokes at me, I don't think you guys realize, like, I'll just be sitting there. It could be like, I don't know, 7 at night on a weekday, and he'll have a game where clearly something went wrong. It's just like, Mort, this Aurelian Soul Champ, and then we're talking like 2 patches ago. It's like, this Aurelian Soul Champ, why is he an unplayable mess? Are you doing your job? Come on, bro. It's like, and this is not one, like, I would say in set 16, I've probably gotten about 15 of these messages, maybe, So when he says we're the harshest critics, I think in a constructive way, though, right? We're always looking of like, how could we have done this better? How could we, or why did this, so we learn, why did Aurelian Soul ship this way? What happened? Where did we miss, And so definitely a lot of that for sure. Cool. I'm trying to think if I had any other questions for you. There was one other one I had. I'll give you a chance if you have any for me, and then
think of another good Mort question. See, normally on stream I would think of like in Castlevania, why did you have a special staircase that didn't go anywhere? But I didn't do my homework. I've been too busy. Let me think. Oh, I have a good one. Is there like, obviously, to add context before I ask you, a lot of the thematics and stuff that we do for sets are really constrained by League skin lines and stuff like that. Like, let's throw all of that out the window. You can have let's say League makes all the skin lines we could want. Is there any thematic that we haven't done that you would just be so excited to do?
Food fight tech. For those who don't know, it is a running joke, by the way, that people want us to make a food-based set, Food Fight Tactics. And I have been the original, like, no, this is a terrible idea. I think at one point we even did it in one of our like surveys, and it like ranked so low, it was hilarious. And then it's become a meme. But no, I think, it's funny. When I played League, I was a Malzahar main, and my favorite skin was Battle Boss. That like video game 8-bit sort of aesthetic. And I would love to somehow figure out a way to turn that into a set where it's like the arcade champs and the battle bosses along with other things would be like a video. That'd be really cool. So like, I think as far as thematics go, if I could snap my fingers and make the skins team make all of those, I think that's where I would go.
That's a good choice.
Yeah. So that'd be fun. Cool. Like, I had one more question for you. I can't think what it was. It was a hard question, and we're almost at time anyway. So I think we'll mostly wrap up here. Like I said, we're mostly focused on future land stuff right now. A lot of work, a lot of busyness, pretty chaotic. So I guess I will hand you the mic and just say if there's any closing thoughts you've got.
I don't have anything groundbreaking. I'm not going to glaze Mort like other visitors on here. I guess I'll just say it's hard out there right now in the world, and if you're like me, we kind of use video games as like a place to escape. So, thanks to all the folks who use TFT as that escape. We're really lucky to have the players that we do. It's crazy how dedicated our players are and how much TFT you all have played in set 16. So thank you for continuing to support the game. We're really grateful, and we'll continue pumping out good stuff for you.
That's the plan for sure. All right. So thank you, Alex, for joining me. This has been Walk the Dog Season 2, Episode 22. Let's see here. Like I said, by now, hopefully, if there was a B patch, great. If not, cool. Hopefully nothing new's on fire. Hopefully it didn't introduce some new bug or anything like that. We'll see. But yeah, otherwise, expect more episodes this week. I'll see if I can get a couple more guests. I want to see, Kent's been working from home this week. I'm hoping he comes in next week and we can grab Kent, for example. But yeah, otherwise, as always, post your questions and we'll get to them. And one more week of this, and then I'll be back to my home little cave. So
after actually walking.
True. All right, that's going to do it for me. Until next time, take it easy.
Later.